I know, as a lecturer, how should I think in my class? And I also know how should my student think in my class? What about their behavior now? How should they move themselves in my class? So we have two types of learners, which are independent learner and also interdependent learners. When we talk about independent learner, they need to be able to lead the conversation. This is what the thing that you need to focus on. And they should be able to make a connection to content and also to the rest of the ideas coming from their members. They also need to be able to always monitor their personal academics goals, which might lead back to their understanding. They need to be able to respond to the feedback as a frame for individual continuous improvements. So when they work in a group, they should be able to exhibit this type of behavior, which is to collaboratively set a group learning goals, to initiate action plan to achieve group learning outcomes, and to be able to monitor the group academic goals. So now it's clear to me that these are the activities that I should see from my students when they conduct all the hands-on activities provided to them. We talk about behavior. Now we are moving into attitudes. Don't get me wrong. This is not the outcomes that you need to measure from your student when conducting teaching and learnings. But these are the points that I provide in my slide is actually to guide your perspective when observing your students. When you are conducting inquiry like problem-based learning, or might probably doing project-based learning, a simple way is active learning. These are the attitudes which you can observe from your students. For independent learner, they should be able to establish a personal learning goals. A simple way to see this is for them to understand what is their prior understanding and re-evaluate their prior understanding. And they need to be able to initiate action plan in order to achieve the learning outcomes set by you as a lecturer. As for the interdependent learners, they should be able to expand other people's ideas during discussion. At the same time, they also need to be able to help their peers to understand the content and make the connection between the ideas shared in the community. Last, students need also to be able to provide feedback as a frame for group's continuous improvement. Try to imagine yourself as an observer, sitting behind the classroom, looking at your students and looking at yourself teaching at the front of the class. Try to think and evaluating your teaching and learning, whether or not you are moving away from traditional manners. So here is a simple checklist. As a lecturer, you must monitor or examine the communication that happen in the classroom. The dialogue must not in a way to confirm answer scheme, yes and no, but it should be used to trigger more questions from students. Second, try to look at how students address feedback and how you address feedback as well during the discussion, because this feedback should be a resource for the next activity. And as a lecturer, this feedback should have its roles to alter your prior decision on designing the learning process. Third, what kind of prompts that you use when you talk to students. Those prompts should allow students to rethink and reevaluate their ideas. And these prompts should be in open-ended questions because we wanted to slowly trigger students' cognitive conflicts. With these conflicts, students will be able to come into a state of realizations that they need to change or alter or to reconstruct back their understanding. Last, look back at the activities and assessment. Thus, both of them allow students to make decisions for their own understanding. As for the students, when you look at them, you need to look whether or not these students are able to understand their point of view. What are the resources for talking about certain ideas, for example? Second, does the student able to reconnect their decision or their understanding with the resources? For example, reconnecting their ideas with their peers. Third, you might want to see if your students are able to renegotiate their ideas with their peers. Might be in a way just to confirm their prior understanding, but also might happen in a way for them to re-evaluate their prior understanding. Thank you for listening. I hope this slide helps you to understand how you should see yourself and how should you see your students in a constructivist classroom. Thank you.